I think we are ready to move on to our next session. I'd like to introduce Rohini Chakravarti to be the moderator for the Quest for Eminence session.
We actually have an excellent video of Professor Ramamurthi at the convocation this past Monday, where he really captured the last 60 years of IIT it's a 6-minute long video, but it's totally worth it because I think a lot of the questions we've had is, what's happening now that we don't know about, and we'll run that video because it's worth watching, and then we'll get Professor Ramamurthi and Professor Maheshan on stage and talk to them. Is it 12 minutes?
Yeah, 12 minutes.
Okay, it's 12 minutes, but it's still worth it. Yeah, it's still worth it.
2 minutes of addressing people.
You can practice with Tamil presentation.
Can you dim the light a little bit?
Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, Governor of Tamil Nadu, Shri Banwarilal Purohit ji, Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Thiru Edappadi Palaniswamy avargal, Union Minister for Human Resource Development, Dr. Ramesh Pokhriyal ji Nishank, Deputy Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Thiru O. Pannirselvam avargal, Chairman Board of Governors, Dr. Pawan Goenka, members of the Board of Governors, members of the Academic Senate, distinguished members of the Diplomatic Corps, chief guests of the degree distribution programs, distinguished guests, colleagues, alumni, graduates, award winners, and their family members. My greetings to everyone assembled here on this joyous occasion, and a special welcome to our dear graduating students. 2019 is a momentous year for IIT Madras as we complete 60 years since inception. We are indeed honored and privileged that the Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, has found the time and thought it fit to grace our convocation this year. We are extremely grateful to you, sir, for this gesture which we shall cherish for all time. That Chennai was the chosen location for the third IIT in India was in great measure due to the alacrity shown by the Tamil Nadu government in making available this wonderful location for its campus. We owe a special gratitude to the state government for its unstinting support to the institute ever since, including the provision of land for the IIT Madras Research Park and for further expansion of the campus at Tayyur. The Ministry of Human Resources Development of the Government of India has nurtured IIT Madras with utmost care. If we have grown today to become one of the premier institutions of the country and have earned global recognition, it is in substantial measure due to the generosity of MHRD. It is no exaggeration, therefore, to state that we exist in order to serve the country and her people. We express our deepest gratitude for the generous assistance of the German government in our formative years. More than 75 German faculty and technical staff served at IIT Madras, and our laboratories were fully equipped with the best machinery then available. In keeping with their famed quality, the German equipment kept working until finally we were forced to retire them to overcome obsolescence, though we still cling to a few. We continue to have thriving collaborations not just with German universities, but with many other leading universities from across the world. Today, we are awarding 4 PhD degrees jointly with University of Technology Sydney, Swinburne University, and National Tsinghua University. The first batch of 107 students graduated in 1964, and the first PhD degree was awarded in 1965. Today, 2,584 degrees, including 371 PhD degrees, will be awarded. Over the past 60 years, more than 40,000 alumni have stepped out of our portals and made a mark for themselves and the institute. Among them are captains of industry, leading scientists of India's space, defense and nuclear establishments, academicians of global renown, entrepreneurs who have created entirely new industries, civil servants of distinction, and even a famous musician or two. Many of our alumni partners engage with the institute in various ways, including outreach to engineering college students in order to help them with internships, startups, and industry exposure. We recall with gratitude the efforts of about 1,800 faculty members and 2,400 staff members who have toiled under the stellar leadership of 11 directors during these 60 years. It was not easy to remain wedded to excellence when resources were scarce and global contacts limited. While the Institute has grown steadily since inception, it has done so by leaps and bounds in the last decade since our Golden Jubilee. In this period, our student strength has doubled. We have built a large number of new hostels, academic buildings, and residences, even as we have ensured that our campus retains its greenery and its fauna. Between 2009 and 19, our faculty strength has grown by 50% and research scholar population has nearly trebled, while research funding has outpaced this to go up by 6 times. Our research output too has gone up dramatically in this period. IIT Madras prides itself on its research collaborations with industry. Its Industrial Consultancy Center, harking back to 1973, mentored by the Germans before they departed. The startup ecosystem at IIT Madras is known for its deep technology startups and counts amongst them the best in the country. Given this remarkable growth, our alumni and other donors have affirmed their faith in their alma mater by increasing their contributions 40-fold in this period to touch rupees 73 crores annually last year. These key performance indicators have led to the institute being ranked first among engineering institutes in the NIRF rankings, first in the Atal Innovation Rankings, and most recently being declared as an institution of eminence. Perhaps less well known are the several technological contributions of our faculty, students, and startups that have had a deep and lasting impact on our people and the country, as these do not show up in any ranking framework. Among the first high-impact projects undertaken was the saving of India's fast-depleting forests by replacing wooden railway sleepers. IIT Madras and Indian Railways designed and tested the country's first pre-stressed concrete sleeper in the only laboratory then equipped to do so. IIT Madras also helped a dozen entrepreneurs set up manufacturing lines for the sleepers. In the 80s, IIT Madras designed for Doordarshan about 30 self-standing concrete towers for the first time in India at different places, ranging from Kasauli in the north to Rameshwaram in the south, from Bhuj in the west to Itanagar in the east. At 330 meters, some of these remain today the tallest freestanding structures in the country. The tower at Bhuj was among the few buildings to survive the devastating earthquake of 2002. When India was looking for an alternative to the investment-heavy landline telephones in the 90s, IIT Madras developed and commercialized technology for fixed wireless telephones, costing only a third as much as landlines. More than 1 million lines were deployed and also exported to a dozen countries. Today, we have teamed up with 7 other institutes to build a complete end-to-end 5G wireless system. Since 1985, IIT Madras has been taking up important tasks for ISRO, including some for the Chandrayaan mission. 2 years from now, Indian astronauts will travel to space and return in the crew module whose splashdown was successfully tested in 2014 in the Bay of Bengal. In 2012, IIT Madras had designed and tested for ISRO a 4:1 scale model in its wave basin, one of only 2 in the country that can simulate ocean conditions. The National Cancer Tissue Bank at IIT Madras has till date collected tissue samples from more than 3,250 patients and completed genome sequencing of 320 breast cancer samples for establishing an India-specific cancer genome database. When floods devastated Kedarnath in 2013, our National Center for Safety of Heritage Structures carried out for ISI subsoil and vibration tests, safety assessment for hydrostatic and earthquake loads, and recommended steps for structural conservation, seismic retrofit, and health monitoring. In order to attain 100% electrification of homes under the Prime Minister's Saubhagya scheme, IIT Madras provided its off-grid solar DC technology in partnership with startup Signi for around 45,000 homes in totally inaccessible regions of Rajasthan, Ladakh, Manipur, Assam, and Meghalaya. Based on 20 years of nanotechnology research, Amrit filters developed by our Center for Clean Water are delivering arsenic and iron-free water at 2 paise per litre to cover 1 million people in Punjab and Bengal every day. The country's only approved mobile eye surgery facility, jointly developed by IIT Madras and Shankar Netralaya, has performed more than 20,000 cataract surgeries in villages across Tamil Nadu and Jharkhand. Partnering with J Mitra, the country's first benchtop blood testing equipment, iQuant, is revolutionizing clinical testing in small towns across the country. IIT Madras has brought to bear its knowledge of the science of tire dynamics to help JK Tires create India's most fuel-efficient truck tires that compete with the global best-in-class. After helping revive the Eden Channel in the Haldia port, resulting in avoidance of dredging spoils, as well as an annual savings of Rs 250 crores, our National Port Centre is now optimizing the dredging for the Ghogha-Dahej Ro-Ro service. As advanced manufacturing technology is key for the Make in India program, IIT Madras has collaborated with many machine tool builders to develop state-of-the-art machines, some of which are embargoed. We provide, in partnership with the startup Dhwani, advanced inspection machines for critical precision manufacturing. The problem of high wear of the cold drawing dies in the manufacture of seamless tubes at TI has been addressed by IIT Madras using chemical vapor deposition, diamond coating technology that has increased die life 4 times and provided better product finish. The indigenous Shakti family of microprocessors with architectural support for machine learning, fault tolerance and security are being used both in critical applications as well as by industry. Our work for the Tamil Nadu government spans many dimensions. The Tamil Nadu Accident and Emergency Care Initiative, designed by IIT Madras, has had an immediate impact in reducing trauma-related mortality and is now being adopted by MORT as a pan-India model. The State Health Resources Center on our campus has carried out a study of the Chief Minister's comprehensive health insurance scheme and published the Tamil Nadu health accounts. We carry out cybersecurity studies at the Cyber Arangam and assist in infrastructure projects and pollution control through the Center for Urbanization, Buildings and Environment. Affordable, environmental friendly and rapid construction glass fiber reinforced gypsum housing technology developed at IIT Madras was used to construct hostels at IIT Tirupati and now is ready for nationwide adoption to tackle the housing challenge. With nearly 200 startups incubated at the IIT Madras Research Park till date, some early ones are now approaching unicorn status. What started as a student prototype in 2014 is now India's leading e-scooter, the Ather 450. The conversational AI company, Unifor, is making waves globally with its voice-driven technologies. And small dairy farms are being automated and assisted through IoT and cloud-based intelligence by Stellapps. We are confident several more will join their ranks each year as we go forward. India will grow rapidly over the next 15 years and IIT Madras will do more than its share to make this happen. As the world changes rapidly around us, accelerated by the revolutions in automation, artificial intelligence and new materials, it is not enough to aspire to rise to the level of the best-in-class institutions of today. Tomorrow's modern university must not only produce the best graduates and most advanced research discoveries, but should simultaneously also be of utmost relevance to the community and country through the impact of its work and through startups. IIT Madras aspires to reach the highest peaks of both excellence and relevance and thus serve the country and our people in an exemplary manner. Before I conclude, I congratulate the graduating class of 2019 and the award winners today for their hard work and stupendous performance. IIT Madras is proud of you and is confident that you will keep the flag of our institute flying high. Jai Hind.
Professor Ramamurthi and Professor Panchagnula. As you could see from that exciting video, I think Bhaskar has been a tremendous inspirational leader for our alma mater. He's been the director since 2011, and but he has been, I guess, affiliated with IIT Madras going all the way back to 1975. So class of 1980 and MS and PhD from University of California in Santa Barbara, so we have that connection. And he was a Regents Fellow here. while he was a PhD student, worked at IIT Madras and went back as part of the electrical engineering faculty in '86. So I think we're really honored to have you here, and both to kind of give us a point of where we are today and where we're going for the next 60 years. And likewise, Professor Mahesh, also an IIT Madras alum, class of '92, mechanical engineering, and PhD from Purdue, and has been on faculty in the Applied Mechanics Department since 2010. And he's been a well-loved and much well-regarded advisor to the startups in the incubation cell. I think a lot of people have complimented him on that. And he took on the International Alumni Relations position last year. So we are thrilled to have both of you here, and thanks for making the time. Thanks for putting together this whole summit. It's been a real honor and pleasure. So maybe just connecting back to the video, IIT Madras has been named the best engineering school in India for the last 4 years in a row, and we just were awarded the Institute of Eminence. Maybe we can start there and sort of explain to people what that means and what opportunities are now available for you in terms of where the Institute is today and the Institute of Eminence. Does that mean anything special or unique for us?
So, thank you, and thank you all for coming in such large numbers. Nice to see so many faces again. Many people were here last year too, but there are some new faces as well. I also want to thank my colleagues who have come from IIT Madras here to participate today. So I think from the 12-minute speech or address that you just heard, you get a sort of broad feel of what has happened. So the IITs have been among the success stories of the time in the country. Many success stories. I mean, there are many things that have gone well, many things haven't, but many things that have, and the IITs are definitely one of the success stories. And therefore, we have mirrored, in some sense, what is happening in the country. And is therefore, I think, the correct one way, the proper way to look at where we are heading is where the country is. These are not independent things. That's the first thing I want to point out. Second thing is, as far as you asked specifically about the rankings are just metric based. There are a lot of, you can go to the website, it's one of the most transparent ranking frameworks. It says exactly what it evaluates. All the data that we have to supply are all put up on the website so that it can be challenged by anybody in case it's been falsified. It's entirely metric driven, so it has its value. It has it doesn't capture. All of us know metrics don't capture everything. So to the extent that metrics captures the reality, it has some value. And so it just says that we have, overall in some combined way, research, graduate outcomes, funding levels for research, and so on and so forth, placement, diversity. We have done well. That's all it says. In fact, if you go to the website and see of NIRF, you can see individual metrics where we stand. We don't stand number one in everything. It's a combined metric. As far as the Institute of Eminence is concerned, I think what the government wanted to do was identify a few institutions which they feel are capable of rising in some global ranking metric based methodology to the top 100 or whatever you want, some really the top few in the world, and they want to encourage that. That's their goal. The rest of it is details. And so we are one of the 8 or 10 institutions in the publicly funded category that have been so identified. So they will, as a measure of their intent, they are also giving some extra money over the next 5 years. It's a reasonable amount because it's going towards specific objectives which we have put up in our proposal, mostly to drive research and increase internationalization, both faculty and students, a lot more international visibility for our own faculty, and really to give significantly extra support to those centers or groups that are excelling. So it's basically performance-based, outcome-based, not a general broad-based funding. Okay. That was our proposal, and we have to implement it as per our proposal on the basis of which we were awarded the Institute of Excellence. So that will happen over the next 5 years. But I think where we are headed is, and as I said, it's part of where the country is headed. So in the next 10, 15, 20 years, probably more like 15 if we do it well, 20 if we don't do it that well. I think the country is headed towards getting to a point where we are in this 5 trillion economy that Prime Minister keeps talking about, just one way of capturing that notion. We're headed to a point where you're sort of some kind of middle income country. Already, if you sort of within the country, if you come and travel around and look, if you go to the southern part of the country, below the peninsular part of the country, you can see the difference. I think definitely you can say poverty is not, basic poverty is just not there anymore in the southern part, below Gujarat. And people are at all levels, even in rural areas, are now exercising a lot of choices in what they want and what they don't want. And so it's an interesting phase where we go from here, because you can take a path which has not been taken by any other country in straight away getting to a more frugal, sustainable and happy situation. Even if from a metric point of view, GDP or something may not be the same as a similarly happy situation somewhere else. So there's potential for taking new pathways. And that's the interesting part. So what's the role that's going to be played by new technologies, new solutions, new thinking? Startups are very important in all of this. So I don't see startups simply as companies that take a new idea to the market. I think startups can also be ways in which the young can express their view and how on better ways of doing things. And that is why at the IIT we have, the last 5 years, we've really tried to free up our curriculum. We've openly expressed our view that the faculty have collectively, that our job is only to get people to excel in whatever they're doing. We're not too worried now about, whether people, what they become, whether they become engineers or doctors or whatever, finance executives. It doesn't matter.
Do you have any doctors?
We have actually, one of our distinguished alumni is actually a leading pediatric surgeon in California.
Yeah, right here.
He's right here, and he actually before that was before he became a surgeon, he was a fairly well-known economics faculty member in Caltech. He is known as Sarayu in IIT Madras.
Okay.
1978.
Venkatraman is his name. So anyway, very interesting people. Okay. Yeah. So I think the point really is we have to let these, especially now, because people, when people
But
came.
mostly I think it's interdisciplinary.
Yeah, you have to provide them all the opportunities you can to discover new things, let them excel, let them shine, and that's really what we're doing. Our curriculum is now based that way, and they will, the ones who really get onto the right track, they will blaze their way, whether in academics or whether in a job or in startups or whatever it is. And I think that's really what we want to see. And we are not, and as you can see, as you saw throughout the day, one of the things that used to be a matter of concern for some of us in the 90s, that somehow we don't seem to be getting on to the, we don't seem to be able to build too many things, all that is gone now. People are building, kids are building sophisticated stuff. You see the kind of, and one of the reasons for that is just like software became easy to do once the PCs came, hardware has become easy to do once Amazon's come to it. Alibaba and Amazon. You can order things from anywhere, you can put these things together, you can get, and India has also gone up the value chain, you can get stuff fabricated in Velachery, you cannot go very far. Our own workshops are pretty good. And so I think people are making stuff now that we can be proud of. So I don't think we have really to worry about anything. I just let them free. People will do wonderful things. In fact, the harder thing is to somehow get it across without being preachy that every day and every minute matters, that not to lose those 4 years. It's Can't just say it explicitly, they won't believe you, but somehow get them onto the right track. So we try to provide a lot of opportunity for people to find the thing that excites them and not let them sleep. Then beyond that, we can't do much else. The rest of it is just the framework, the curriculum, and all that credits. And all that stuff.
So Professor Mahesh, I guess now we have 40,000 alumni around the world, and I think, as you can see from this audience, I think there's a lot of interest in figuring out ways to engage with the institute and so on. Maybe especially around innovation and the incubation activity that you will also part of. Maybe you want to give people a thumbnail of the types of things that are opportunities for alumni to engage, and what's most exciting for alumni to know about on campus.
Sure, I think it's an understatement, like I said this morning, to say that IIT Madras has one of the most vibrant innovation and incubation ecosystems in India. There's 180 startups that are part of the incubation cells. Now, I'm sure there are many startup and startup co-founders here in the audience. The governments all over the world, both in India and in the US, have made it easy to start up. Okay? It's more difficult to stay up. And I think we are beginning to take great pride in the fact that more than half of our companies have stayed up. And I think that is a fact that is worth celebrating, even more than the fact that we have 180 startups. They've stayed up on their own 2 feet. Some of them have stayed up with the help of external funding. Some of them have decided that we're going to bootstrap and grow from our own revenue streams. And others have looked at models where they've collaborated with governments, they've collaborated with large companies, and figured out models that would allow them to remain in business and continue on their journey. We probably don't, we have not seen quote unquote a unicorn grow out of this ecosystem yet. There are probably good reasons to not expect one in the short run either, because our product portfolio, our company portfolio is skewed towards solving B2B product-driven solutions. It's skewed towards providing more B2B product-driven solutions. And it's harder to, imagine, what a unicorn would look like in that space. I don't know of one. So in that sense, I'm sure it's a matter of time that, given the extremely high IQ concentration in that small, let's just say 600-acre campus, or even more specifically, the 100-acre hostel area, I am sure it's a matter of time before we see a unicorn grow. But our current incubation ecosystem is not heading in that direction, and there is no force guiding it in that direction. It's more organic. Our companies and our co-founders, most of our companies, by the way, are faculty-student pairs, or faculty-faculty or faculty-student teams. So they're mostly grown out of research labs, and the nature of their growth has kind of gotten them in this direction. There are many, and I'll say, the reason we have this extremely vibrant ecosystem is I would almost single-handedly attribute that to a very robust mentorship ecosystem. There's a group of very committed alumni. They're organized into a very loosely knit forum called the Entrepreneurs Forum. And so Entrepreneurs Forum, the EF as we call it for short, basically provides mentorship, business advice, technical advice, product development assistance, and first customer contact in many instances, as all packaged in a way that founders find beneficial. I think this group of people, this group of probably 12 to 15, maybe it may have been up to 20, but it keeps fluctuating. This group of extremely committed, individuals is I think a key reason IIT Madras is different from the other ecosystems in the country. And we are looking to constantly to grow that base, because I think our startups are only going to be as strong as our mentors can be. So we'd invite, we'd love to have all of you, as many of you, be mentors to these startups, and there are many ways of coming on board. We also have a pre-incubator where the students are trying out, in some sense, more riskier ideas. So you're also welcome to help advise students in that phase of their growth process as well. If anybody is interested, there are two ways. Our incubation.iitm webpage has a link for mentors, or you can write to me and I'm happy to make the connect as well.
Awesome. Are there any burning questions, or we can keep it? Yes. Awesome.
The question has to do with entrepreneurship, startup culture that is being fostered. Two things. One is, has failure become more embraced in India, that people can fail without being shamed? Secondly, the bankruptcy laws being streamlined.
Well, certainly the group of students we see at IIT, the younger groups, are not afraid of failure at all. Faculty in some sense are also not afraid of failure because they have a good daytime job. Frankly speaking, I can be a co-founder, but what's the risk I'm taking? So in some sense, none of us are afraid of failure in that sense. The bankruptcy law is a different issue altogether. I know the government is neck deep into figuring out how to sort it. They brought a tort limitation law some time ago. They're figuring out how to make bankruptcy as easy as it is in the US. But I don't think
And I think in terms of the bank, I can comment on that. So my day job is as a venture investor in startups. Is that I think in terms of bankruptcy laws, obviously for companies that do take credit, it's much more. So when you're borrowing money, it's much more stringent. But for companies that are purely equity based, it's actually there is a dissolution mechanism, and so unless you're taking loans, you can actually have a process where you can, startup fails and you can move on without big consequences. But you don't need to solve the bankruptcy laws, but they're slightly different than what our startups would care about.
Yeah.
So Mahesh, I want to follow up and test your comment about why the B2B innovation, and the way that innovation happens like in the last research labs, has mainly precluded a potential for a unicorn. And the one that always bugs me is Uber. Right? So Uber comes along and customizes Uber for India, and that's great. But the story goes, as travelers was waiting in an airport in Paris, it took 45 minutes to get a taxi, and the light bulb went on. Right? So why wouldn't that be done in India? Why didn't somebody think about that in India? Just as an example, not specifically that, but does your ecosystem permit those kinds of ideas, or is it restricted to research projects?
No, I was only painting a broad brush view of the IIT Madras startups. Now, I have studied IIT Bombay, I have studied IIT Delhi, and they have companies that are just as good as Olas and the Ubers of the world. For some reason, we have grown these companies. We have not precluded anyone we have not precluded the Olas or the housings to grow out of our ecosystem. I don't know why, but our students and faculty seem to prefer solving more intellectually challenging
More
problems.
differential equation they are not going to.
Exactly. So by the way,
Manishi has a question in the back, yeah.
Actually, some of your IIT research park startups are operating here under IIT startups. And we have Nani Paranikumar also writing with us. He's currently anchoring the cohort management group. That's it, and we've got a few mentors out there like Ajit Devra and all that. So we are in tidal wave out there. We've got 200 startups. Many of them are IIT Madras, and hopefully next year when we start our IIT Bridge, where we help IIT startups from the research park open up here and vice versa. Startups from here to doing their backends in Chennai I think we'll get a very strong ecosystem going, collaborative between the research park and IIT startup.
Srikanth?
So, in the ecosystem that you're talking about so far, we've kind of talked about IITM startups and what we're doing. Are there any collaborative efforts with other IITs, incubation centers, or startups coming out of that to say maybe all of these can start to collaboratively, make a larger impact on the community or the country?
I think broadly the IITs have grown independent of each other, and they're in a very healthy competitive environment. We compete for the same group of students, we compete for the same group of faculty in a very friendly, healthy way. So I think that culture has seeped into the entrepreneurship ecosystem as well. But the entrepreneurship ecosystem is fundamentally different, that it is driven by business interests. So I'm sure co-founders and founders have an eye out across the landscape. And if there is an opportunity that makes sense for both of them, I'm sure those have already happened.
Also add to that, there are two things. For example, the Gopal Deshpande Center at IIT Madras is conducting these cohort programs for all the institutes, not only for IIT Madras.
Yeah.
They're going to ISC, they're going to IIT Bombay, working with them. So that's one thing. In fact, in other words, the funding for that center is actually being used everywhere. And we also reach out to help. They don't really have big ecosystems, but smaller efforts and startups in the colleges beyond the IIT. So that's also something.
And several of our companies, at least I know 2 of our companies, have co-founders from IIT Bombay and other colleges. So individuals have to decide at the end of the day what makes sense for them.
Yeah, this wasn't startups per se, but yesterday I was sort of struck by what you mentioned around NPTEL, right, which is this really large MOOC. Maybe you want to talk about that, because that is broader than IIT.
So yeah, actually that was started by Susanna in 2004 or 5. The first roughly 8-10 decade, it's a pan-IIT, it's all IITs and also IIC. And a few, we selectively include others from other institutions who are capable of delivering a good course. First 10 years it just created a huge, probably the world's largest repository of courses, 40-hour full courses in almost every branch, every important course in engineering and science is there. It's available on YouTube, it's globally available to anybody, it's free. But that was a passive intervention. Whoever wanted to can go look at it. It's well known that very few people actually go through a full course, people just selectively take what they want. You can, hits-wise and all, it's a huge number. Then in 2014, we started experimenting with MOOCs, particularly in the Indian context. In fact, I remember that time, our alumnus Anant Agarwal, who's behind edX, was there with us saying, sign up with edX and just do it. But somehow we didn't think that would work, do the job for what we needed in India. So we started experimenting, and fast forward to where we are today. Again, jointly, all the institutions, we now offer almost 350 courses a semester. Currently, those courses are going on. If you go to NPTEL online, you'll find the list. And the registration, we work very closely with engineering colleges and some arts and we are now expanding out to the arts and science college ecosystem also. But engineering college ecosystem is mostly covered. Out of the 4,000 odd engineering colleges in the country, about 1,700 or 1,800 are partners with us in terms, we call them local chapters. That means that their managements have signed up to this. That means that their teachers are working with our faculty in every course. And actually it means that their students are taking these courses very often in college as a group, not individually at home. They may be revisiting the lectures at home or in the bus, but they are doing it together. And the registrations are very high for the course, about 1.8 million this year. But about 200,000 I think are taking the proctored exam, which is such a large number. We conduct exams in these courses and about 200,000 people take these exams. We give grades and certificates. Many universities now allow about 3 or 4 courses to be credited from this. And a lot of these are now beginning to matter in the job market. So intervention is huge and it will grow like anything. It also actually provides for certain subjects where it's not easy to get really good teaching done in most of the universities. I think these courses, so sometimes you have courses which has only 3,000 or 4,000 students, but they can't get this course in the case in point being analog circuits. Right? Continues to be the flag bearer, and so Nagendra's course is, in fact, he fishes for good students through this. So, and in fact, we've done, in fact, there are courses also on really esoteric stuff. We got Professor Valitan, Dr. Valitan from now in Manipal to record a full series on Ayurveda. Okay, because he's getting on in age and he got it done before he didn't do it anymore.
To add to that, I think, the Carbon Zero Challenge actually cuts across colleges, across IIT, across India. Any college can come together. We have got interdisciplinary teams from like IIT and another private college or another university come together. So the funding is provided to build prototypes, and we train them to become entrepreneurs.
So I think in the last 10 years, IITs have really reached out to the rest of the, we now have a really good connect with the rest of the ecosystem. We're not that ivory tower and elitist that we used to.
Yeah, I was about to ask a question somewhat related to that. Like, I mean, here, like, whether they solve relevant problems or not, like, I mean, there are competitions like, DARPA Grand Challenge or even the Hyperloop where IIT Madras also participated. Like, whether they are relevant or not, that's a different story. But in India particularly, like, I mean, is there any way for IITs to kind of come together to kind of frame a problem
That's what
relevant for India and kind of have challenges that are more?
I think more and more of them are happening now, and so there is much more connect with the rest of the.
But at the same time, there are big problems like government talks about bullet trains, or Sardar Patel statue is a big opportunity to kind of have a competition, like rather than import everything, right? Like,
So I think we had a couple more
We had
questions. Yeah.
Switching gears a little bit, I have a question about diversity to the DIRO. Can you share some of the ideas that IIT Madras is exploring to increase gender representation and empower more women with an IIT education?
Yes, so we know that the IIT entrance flow is all through tightly controlled pan-IIT methods. So what the IITs have done in the last 2 years is, 2 years ago we started, is that we essentially, we sort of understood what's happening with regard to increasing the number of women in the undergraduate program. So in addition to something which we can't control, which is that fewer of them actually write the exam, that we can't control. But what we realized also is that the ones who get good ranks, many of them are not taking any seats because they are opting for very few choices in counseling. Very often they opt for only few institutions near their place of stay, and also only for a few branches. So what we did was we created essentially quote-unquote reservation. We created what's called supernumerary seats for women alone in all the branches. So what it does is it does enable, at present, it's not forever, it's for some years, it does enable students, the women students with a slightly lower rank, if they have opted only for computer science and only in Kanpur because they are living in Lucknow, let's say, or have a better chance of getting it than otherwise. Okay? And also the opening of 23 IITs now in all the states will also help this. I think once those IITs are well established and the parents don't feel that they are risky to go to, because they're not on our campuses and so on, I think that will also address this issue. Because we've seen that in the counseling choices that they fill, the women students are filling very few choices and geographically limited choices. So I think that it will change. But if you don't want to wait for that, so we have created, so by willingly we'll go to 20% because we've created these seats in the next, within by 2021 also we'll go to 20%. IIT Madras is already at 17, so it will go. Nationwide, in the engineering college ecosystem outside of IITs where the presence of women diversity is much better, the average national average is 30%. So 20% is not that high.
Supernumerary is better than reservation.
Reservation is also illegal.
I know. But I think we should point out that for the first time this year's President's Gold Medalist at IIT Madras was a woman.
With a CGPA of 9.9.
9.9.
You can imagine that.
It's a Okay.
I have to go and find out.
Yeah.
Where did she get the
You had a question, yeah.
So I have a hardware startup from a research lab. So my question is related to bringing the angel investors and VC firms into this startup thing, because is there any effort being consciously put to bring that segment that seems to be missing? The reason being, we have been talking to a lot of investors, and we see like a lot of Chinese investors that is coming in with small money. Immediately they want to take the manufacturing to China, right? So they have a whole supply chain there set up. Hey, can you do it there? You can do it for much lower price. So that's going to happen to you guys as well.
Yeah, it's happened in a big way. In fact, the flow of VC money into India has outpaced all measures. Primarily because there's a lot of activity in that space, right? As far as what IIT Madras ecosystem does with VCs and angel investors, I can say a couple of things. There is at least one big demo day where all the VCs and angel investors are invited. The conversations that happen there. There's at least 2 or 3 other more specific, sector-specific demo days where angels and VCs come together with our startups through some filters. I think these are all places, these are all conversation starters. Apart from this, I think the biggest draw is the fact that IIT Madras has this kind of an ecosystem is now well known. So anytime a VC or they start a fund, they first reach out to Tamaswati, who is the CEO of our incubation cell, and say, hey, we would like to come. So there's a lot of this inviting themselves to come. I get a lot of these emails as well, where they invite themselves to come take a look at what we have. I think it's one of the, probably the biggest compliment that an innovation ecosystem can get without explicitly calling it.
From especially electronic hardware, you don't shy away from, even our startups don't shy away from manufacturing in China. That's what you're doing.
So I'll give you one example. It's a remarkable company. A guy named Sai Prashant started this company called News Wearables. He's an alumnus. He's from the engineering design department. They are in the space of designing an analog smartwatch. All of your Apple smartwatches are essentially digital watches. Why can't I not have a nice jewelry, a piece of jewelry that has all the intelligence that your smartwatch has? So he's directly competing with Fossil. And he's figured out a model by which he gets the watch manufactured in China. He initially got the watch manufactured in China, shipped it out of Hong Kong to 130 countries. So he developed a prototype, he's already done this. And then he's figured out a way to have the entire watch manufactured now in India. At least assembly and the PCB assembly. And
it doesn't matter, right? Where you own the IP, that matters.
Right.
There's another company that's doing this Fever watch. It's a wearable for babies, and that's being made in Shenzhen.
I think as we scale, the jobs might shift.
No, I think that India has to do a few things, beginning to do it. We can't solve the problem ourselves.
That's right. Nan?
So out of 180 startups, what percentage is fresh graduates, industry experience and NRIs? Can you give us a breakdown?
At least probably...
Yeah, he's asking for the breakup of founders, okay, of these companies. So what kind of thing?
Composition.
So 33% is faculty, roughly, at least as one of the founders. 33% is alumni. Very few are actually fresh, graduates or students. Very small number.
Yeah.
Because I think that's correct also. Most of our students have no experience of any kind, so they go out for at least 1 or 2 years and then come back to the ecosystem. And then actually quite 33% are actually neither faculty nor our students. There are others. We are very happy to incubate them provided they need help from IIT. So Unifor is an example. The founder of Unifor is not an IIT. But he came to IIT, said, I need your help.
So just kind of keeping with the theme of the summit, right? So outside of the startup ecosystem, what are the maybe 5, maybe if you don't have time, 3 hardest deep engineering problems that you're working on at IIT? that you're trying to solve?
Research as well as.
Yeah, research as well as,
projects,
like for example, the affordable housing.
Yeah, I think that maybe that zoom out is worthwhile, which is excellence in
Research.
research.
See, I think there are people, I can just give you, in almost every department, I think there are at least a couple of faculty who are working on very tough problems. I'm just taking randomly some departments. Take aerospace, you take Satya himself, we can tell you, but his colleague Sujit, for example, works on very tough problems on, what was the right word, Satya's acoustic something?
Thermodynamics.
So, he happened to send me one of the papers he's recently published. It's a problem that's been worked on from Lord Raleigh's time. Okay. And Pradeep in chemistry does similar work like that, and Shanti Pawan in electrical, he's father of all that. They tell me that every AD converter now has some circuit of his that is so standard and everything. So I think we have those are going on. There are at least two. If you just look at our chair professors, you'll know who they are. So that goes on. In fact, that's where the thing is. I think in the next, if you want as a university to make a name, you have to have some 4 or 5 centers where the global people are watching you, where your important stuff comes out periodically. That's what's missing. But I had a very interesting conversation with one of our alumni, distinguished alumni in the university here, and if you look at all the other numbers what percentage of your faculty are publishing in the top journals and all that, numbers are not very different from even MIT. What we lack are the stars.
And do you want to also maybe round this out with, are there areas, are there departments where you're trying to actively build up expertise, or is that a focus of excellence, or in your 3 or 4 centers of excellence? Are there areas where you have kind of a priority?
See, I'll tell you, I don't have certain levers, my salaries I can give are constrained. The amount of money we have for research compared to global levels is constrained. So the way we do it is different. But for whatever reasons driven by their own motivations, we get very good people sometimes in every department. And we recruit them, and then we see who is flowering and we build around them. So usually when some group emerges, if they are doing a great job, other faculty, other youngsters come and join. The group grows bigger. So we don't say that, no, you've grown too big, you don't want more people, we just bring more. So what we find is certain centers emerge, and that's what we're going to do in the Institute of Eminence also. We're going to seed some of these, and whoever is able to grow it faster, make it better, we give them more money. So that's the way our proposal is aimed actually at initially seeding some 15 or 20, then narrowing it down to 5. Finally we'll have 5 centers which get 75% of the money. Okay? And but they'll have to show large enough critical mass. They will show foreign participation, collaborations, foreign students, faculty, visitors. Even maybe 1 or 2 permanent hires, whatever. So that's the way to do it. I don't know which ones will emerge like that, but whoever does it, does it. We have it in almost every department, and we have no favorites.
I think
can I add just one thought? I think there are areas of strategic importance to the country, and we already have efforts in several of those areas. So I think whatever we do, we want to make sure we are addressing those needs. Like Satya talked about the combustion center. The reason it got funded at that scale is because both DRDO and ISRO have been embargoed for a long time, and we needed an organic research center. So there are similar efforts in many other areas. So as long as those are served, everything else is intellectually driven, and people go in a direction that suits their training and liking.
I was just going to ask a follow-up on, so when we were at our reunion last December, we talked about sort of what are the vaccine equivalent for jump-starting research, right? Bill Gates talks about vaccine being the most cost-effective intervention, and you talked about research grants to young faculty, and maybe you have some examples on, and that might be something that alumni are interested in, because the numbers were actually startlingly affordable, right? You kind of start faculty off on the right footing, and it can yield big returns down the line. So maybe you want to give some examples of those.
Yeah, I think, we typically, you have, in any faculty member you're recruiting, you're getting a really bright person. What they need is, most of them, on a median level, they need about, I would say, anywhere, depending on their field, anywhere from 25 lakhs to 1 crore, get really going. And then, if they're any good, they'll be able to raise beyond that. It's not a good idea to keep dumping money on them. And then they need to be able to continue to travel and continue to, really maintain their pace, even though they shifted location. That will probably to a place which is much has less friction than ours. And that's really what we're aiming to do. We're probably a little suboptimal right now in terms of what we can support, but mostly we're able to find the money. That's one area where we can take help from endowments and so on. And the other thing is I think the other thing that we have to do is to somehow get the younger faculty to not bet too low, not to take low risk path. That is just a question of their own confidence and what they can aim for. So that's something that we're trying to do. Tell people that don't assume that you can't aim higher. So that is something. But I think it's really because we've had reviews of faculty when they come to promotions. All the committee has said that this guy can actually, or this person can actually aim much higher. Just hasn't realized that. So those are some of the things. But I think certainly the trajectory in the last few years has been that people are beginning to realize this, and we are getting better and better research outcomes. Maybe you should ask some of the younger faculty who are here. Pradeep has just joined 1 year ago. Came from Munich in France, Germany.
Oh, I'm glad to know that you know so much about me, but the sooner I will submit my seat current proposal, but
you haven't got it already?
No, other than that, I was able to manage with my own project funding, so I didn't disturb him until now. But since having said
Since
that,
you heard this, yeah.
Yeah.
You heard the numbers, right? 25 lakhs to 1 crore. With alumni.
He had a 34 crore toy given to him.
Okay.
So that's working quite well. So whatever investment they have made before I joined, I think that's serving not only us, but for the whole country. I think some of the slides we showed, even I think our colleagues from Applied Materials are interested. So we are very happy making it work for all. So that way I'm satisfied.
Yes.
Now, is there any potential for India to embrace the model that US universities have, where you associate a national lab with a university like Lawrence Berkeley with Berkeley, Stanford Linear Accelerator with Stanford, and also Jet Propulsion Lab with Caltech, because then you get the resources from the federal government.
Isn't that the end of that list, or are there more like
Lincoln Labs?
Lincoln Labs and Oak Ridge associated with University of Tennessee.
Yeah, but actually, by the way, there's a committee which Chris is, I think, chairman, if I'm not mistaken, which is looking at what, really shaking up CSIR. And one of the recommendations is this, to link some of the CSIR labs with the IITs. Yeah, so this is something that's it's difficult. I mean, it's going to be difficult to do now. Locationally, they're not even nearby. Some are nearby, but they may not be the right connect. So, but the country, unlike Germany, which have the Fraunhofer institutes located at universities, and like what you mentioned, US, the Indian national labs were not set up that way.
In Australia, CSIROs are on campus.
But how they are now trying to see whether they can fix that. I don't know how successful.
Well, I hope you can stay for a few more minutes for questions, but I think I wanted Professor Mahesh to go through the new campaign that you just launched,
Sure.
and maybe you want to say a word about it. We have a video.
Sure. So before we go to that video, I want just kind of broad brush a set of initiatives that we have where we need alumni help. Like Professor Bhaskar said, we want to augment our startup packages for faculty members. We are currently providing about 30 lakhs to 35 lakhs. Professor Getu is here. So that's been the level at which we are able to support faculty in the startup package. And so we want to augment that to up to the 1 crore level. So that's something where we are looking for essentially grants and donations from alumni. We have the foundation set up as a great vehicle for us to receive those contributions. The second is in the area of supporting a large set of students who get into IIT on their own merit but aren't able to financially support them. So we have a merit cum means scholarship scheme that helps them offset the burden on their parents from paying the full tuition fee that IIT has. This is another area where we seek your help and support to help fund some of these merit cum means scholars. A third area is where, like Professor Bhaskar said, we fund travel for faculty. Like for example, there's about a dozen of us who have come from Chennai to be here in this summit. The cost of this travel, spread over 600 faculty members traveling to several conferences, is at times prohibitive for the institute to bear. Especially if I want to look at what is absolutely bare minimum travel that a person has to do to just be professionally, to hold the nose above water professionally, vis-a-vis swim in a direction that makes sense for them. So this aspirational need of a faculty member is something that we would again, we seek your help and support to create a pool of fund that will fund travel for students. The fourth one is what I want to talk to you about today in some more detail. This is a campaign that we launched on October 1st. And this campaign is titled Keep It Flowing. And it is, I don't know, how many of you have already received a mailer? Okay. And how many of you have opened the mailer? And how many of you have already donated?
Yeah.
Okay, so
then you have to watch the video if you haven't donated yet.
yeah. So the objective is to essentially rejuvenate and take our hostels to the next level for the next generations of students to come. Yeah, there's an old Sanskrit saying that says only a quarter of the learning happens in the classroom and a quarter of the learning happens in your hostels. And the hostels have always been a great place to exchange ideas and to live and learn. In fact, I was on the Purdue campus a few months ago. They now have what they call an honors college. The honors college is a live and learn place. The dorm and the classrooms are all in the same building. And they just bring all the honors students from all the disciplines and lock them up in there for 4 years, proverbially. So I think we already have that. We have the best students from across India come stay in these hostels. We just want to provide them the best infrastructure we can. And this is something, so we want to create an endowment of $8,000 per room that would essentially enable us to both take it up a notch and maintain it there. So I'm sure all of you know your JE rank, your roll number and your hostel address. 3 things none of us can ever forget. So please come help us in this campaign. We'll keep those rivers flowing mighty again. And so this is a small video that we have.
So before we go to the video, and I'm mindful of the time, I do want to thank Professor Bhaskar and Professor Mahesh for coming to the summit, bringing the faculty with you. I think it's been a really good exchange of ideas, and we hope you'll all stay and to watch the video and go with the professors.
This is a very short, it's only a minute long.
Are we doing the 6 minutes or 47?
Alakananda, Godavari, Yamuna, Ganga, Sarayu, and maybe if you're a later alumni, Sharavati, all these hostels now need to be renovated, refurbished, and refurbished. We need to keep the world flowing. That is why we are reaching out to you to join the Keep It Flowing movement. We ask each one of you to make your contribution, to reimagine this hostel so that its energy and its spirit keeps flowing, and own a piece of action and leave your indelible mark
on the hostel that you call your home away from home for 4 or 5 years. Thank you very much. Alakananda, Godavari, Jamuna, Ganga, Sarayu, and maybe you with your later alumni, Sharavati. All these hostels now.